She embraced a complete stranger, only to discover he was a millionaire destined for amazing love. Sarah stood outside the diner, the cold rain dancing on the pavement, numbing her fingers as she lit a cigarette. Another night, another shift, she muttered under her breath, fatigue heavy on her shoulders. The aroma of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee wafted through the air, but all she could think about were the looming bills, the groceries to buy, and her spirited daughter, Mia, who was sleeping soundly at home, blissfully unaware of their struggles. Just then, she heard a thud. Panic surged through her heart. She turned to see an elderly man sprawled on the sidewalk, his face pale and strained. Without a second thought, Sarah dropped her cigarette and rushed to his side, her heart racing. "Hey, can you hear me? Stay with me." She cradled his head in her lap, her hands trembling as she searched for a pulse. He was a complete stranger, but at that moment, he was everything. As Sarah whispered words of comfort to the unconscious man, she felt a warmth envelop her, a flicker of hope ignited among her hidden dreams of a better life. The sirens screamed in the distance, echoing her urgency, and she made sure he felt her presence until the paramedics arrived. Time stood still, and in that instant, she wasn't just a waitress, she was a hero. The man, Ben, awoke later in the hospital, his heart profoundly moved by this waitress's unwavering compassion. For weeks, the two remained strangers, yet Sarah's act of kindness haunted him in the best way possible. As he recovered, he observed her life from a distance, fascinated by a mundane rhythm that was anything but ordinary, a woman devoted to a child, battling everyday chaos with grace. Meanwhile, Mia thrived in her schoolwork, unaware of the silent guardian watching over her future. Ben recognized her potential, and when he found a way to reach out, it felt right. He began leaving books and notes for her, each one a ripple in their interconnected lives. "You can be anything you want, Mia," he wrote, "don't ever let anyone tell you differently." Her eyes sparkled with hope, igniting a fire within her ambitions. Social lines blurred as whispers of their connection began to swirl in the community. Sarah felt the tension, the weight of judgment on her shoulders as those around her gossiped about the waitress and the millionaire. She should know her place, they'd say. Sarah stood tall, embodying resilience, her heart now a battlefield of pride and self-doubt. It was a peculiar tension as Mia blossomed under Ben's influence, and all she saw was potential for her daughter's future. But the whispers scratched at her confidence. Just as Sarah began to navigate this uncharted friendship, a scandal erupted, a miscommunication fueled by jealousy that threatened to upend their fragile bond. In an instant, rumors spiraled out of control, jeopardizing Sarah's job, painting her as a gold digger and Mia as a girl with money handed to her. A fire burned deep in her chest, indignation blazing against the idea that her hard work could be dismissed so easily. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Feeling the walls close in, Sarah faced a crossroads. Could she keep fighting for her independence while accepting Ben's help? Or would this unexpected love bring more ruin than redemption? The rain outside fell harder, mirroring her tumultuous emotions. With Mia's world on the brink of being transformed, and her heart racing with possibilities, Sarah stood at the edge of a decision that could change everything. Could she navigate the complexities of trust, the pulls of community judgment, and still hold on to her identity? With doubt lingering, she took a deep breath. The storm was just beginning. As the rain continued to batter the pavement, Sarah felt each drop like a weight on her chest. She could hear the whispers of judgment echoing in her mind. Gold digger, user. Those words followed her, wrapping around her like chains, tighter with every thought. Yet, a flicker of defiance surged within her. "I'm not that person," she whispered to herself, pushing away the darkness threatening to engulf her. She glanced back at the diner, its lights glowing warmly against the storm. It was her haven, a place filled with laughter and the aroma of comfort food. But today, it felt like a cage. Taking one last deep breath, she turned away. Ben had made his intentions clear, and she needed to face him, to see if the bond they shared could withstand the storm brewing outside and within her heart. The hospital room was quiet, the kind of stillness that made Sarah both anxious and nervous. She had debated all day about coming here, but the thought of Mia's bright eyes lit by knowledge and hope spurred her on. As she entered, Ben looked up from the bed, his face breaking into a gentle smile that sent warmth rushing through her. "Sarah," he greeted softly, his voice raspy but steady. "Hey, Ben," she replied, crossing the room to sit on the edge of his bed. "How are you feeling?" "Better," he nodded, his gaze unwavering. "I wanted to thank you again. For everything. You saved me." The sincerity in his eyes softened the edges of her anxiety. "Just doing what any decent person would do," she replied, her voice steady but her heart racing. Not everyone would rush to help a stranger. There was something deeper in his tone, a weight to his words that made her look away, embarrassment creeping into her cheeks. She glanced at the pile of books on the bedside table, a silent testament to his encouragement towards Mia. "You've been really supportive of Mia. It means a lot to me." "Mia is special," he said, leaning back against the pillows. "You're both inspiring. I admire that." His admiration made her heart flutter, but it also ignited the flicker of self-doubt again. She cleared her throat, the words she had rehearsed spilling out before she could stop herself. "You know how people are talking about us, right? They think I'm just using you. That I only care about your money." Ben's expression hardened for a brief moment. "What they think doesn't matter, Sarah. I see you. I see who you are." She shook her head, trying to dismiss his words. "But I can't let them ruin this, whatever this is between us. I won't have Mia dragged into it." She felt the warm tears queuing behind her eyes, the pressure of her vulnerability closing in. "Sarah, you won't lose anything but chains that have held you back," he assured, reaching for her hand. She hesitated but allowed him to hold it. His touch ignited a rush of warmth, overriding her fears. "Let me help you, let me be part of your life." As he spoke, Sarah felt her walls cracking, but doubt still lingered. "If I let you in, will it really be worth it? Will we really be able to ignore what everyone says? Together, we can drown out the noise," Ben promised, his eyes locking onto hers with a fierce intensity. But just as her heart began to open, a commotion outside the room interrupted their moment. A frantic voice echoed in the corridor. "Where is he? I need to see him." The voice belonged to a woman, and the urgency dripped with the kind of desperation that hinted at a storm of a different kind. What was happening? Sarah's heart raced again as she exchanged a concerned glance with Ben, sensing trouble ahead. Who was this woman? And what would her arrival mean for them? The question hung in the air like the storm's dark clouds, promising that the turbulence was far from over. The door swung open, and a woman burst into the room, her face aflame with panic. Sarah's heart hitched in her throat at the sight of her hair wild, eyes wide and frantic. She was clearly out of breath, and her hands clenched the doorframe like it was her only lifeline. "Ben!" she shouted, urgency brimming in her voice. "Oh God, Ben, I was so scared." Sarah caught Ben's eyes before he could respond. Confusion flickered there, mixed with the dawning realization that this woman wasn't just an indistinct stranger. Her heart thumped painfully against her ribcage as the truth sparked. "Who are you?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the rising storm in her chest. "I'm his sister," the woman said, her gaze darting to Sarah and then back to Ben. "I heard about the accident. I rushed here as soon as I could." "Lily," Ben said gently, though the tension shifted in the room. "You didn't have to. You could have died, Ben." Lily interrupted, her voice breaking. "You should have called me." "I'm fine," he reassured her softly, but the look in Sarah's eyes must have prompted something deeper. "Why didn't I know?" Lily turned to Sarah, her expression demanding. "Did you know he was hurt? Were you there? What's your role in all of this?" The room seemed to shrink around them, suffocating with unasked questions. Sarah could feel her heart racing, butterflies of uncertainty taking flight in her stomach. She faltered, lost. Sarah's been here for me," Ben interjected, his voice stronger than before. "I wouldn't have made it without her." But as he spoke, the weight of the title he might give her hung in the air between them. Was she just a friend? More? The words felt monumental and heavy, like everything depended on them. Lily's responses came quick and sharp. "And does she know who you really are? Does she know how everything changes when people find out?" "Stop," Ben said, his voice firmer now, but Sarah felt herself pulling away. "I have no clue what you're talking about," she replied, her tone edged with frustration. "What difference does it make?" Lily crossed her arms, tension radiating off her in waves. "It makes all the difference, Sarah. You don't know what you're stepping into. People like him, people with his kind of wealth, they're not just rich. There are expectations. Requirements. Trust me, I grew up in that world." A knot twisted in Sarah's stomach at Lily's sharp words. She suddenly felt smaller, like a misfit puzzle piece in a picture where she didn't belong. "But you have to take risks, right?" Ben's voice broke through the noise, calm and steady. "You have to decide what you want." "I don't want anything if it's built on lies or misunderstandings," Sarah shot back, her emotions boiling beneath the surface. "If I'm here for you, Ben, then I want to be in this together." Ben met her gaze, his blue eyes steady and unwavering. "Then we fight together. No matter what." But before they could process this unexpected bond between them amidst the whirlwind, an intense silence filled the room, punctuated by a distant echo of footsteps. Lily's expression shifted, concern settling like a shadow. "Ben, I think we need to consider what comes next. Your family, our family, they're not going to let this go easily." The reality of their volatile situation spun like a hurricane around them. The weight on Sarah's chest returned with a vengeance, drowning out the beats of her heart. Would she lose him before she could even have him? As thoughts crashed like waves against the shore of her resolve, the door creaked open again. Another figure appeared, this time watching from the threshold. "What did I miss?" The voice was smooth, almost too confident, and it sent another tremor through Sarah. Who was this newcomer, and how would they shake the delicate balance that had barely begun to form? The lingering question hung in the air, a flash of lightning promising a storm that threatened to unleash chaos once more. The figure in the doorway stepped into the room with an air of authority, as if he owned the space instead of merely entering it. Dark hair slicked back, a sharp suit that seemed tailored for power, he exuded an intimidating charm. Sarah felt a chill race up her spine as the newcomer fixed his gaze on Ben. "Ah, there you are, brother," he said with a smirk, his voice smooth as silk. "I heard you had a little mishap today." "James," Ben said, his tone clipped. "This isn't the time." "Isn't it?" James stepped further into the room, dismissing Lily and Sarah with a casual glance, like they were mere decorations in his brother's life. "I was told you were involved in an accident. Nearly lost your life. And yet here you are, with friends." The implication hung heavy in the air. "Cut it out, James," Lily interjected, her voice like a sudden thunderclap in the tense atmosphere. "Ben needs support right now, not your condescension." "Oh, I'm just a concerned brother. For all I know, he could be in here embracing a complete stranger." His eyes darted to Sarah, assessing her like she was a low-quality painting he wished to critique on a whim. "Leave her out of this," Ben snapped. His protective stance shifted. He stood up straighter, tension coiling tightly around him like a spring ready to snap. James raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying the growing tension. Does she even know what family she's getting involved with? Does she understand the weight of that decision? His smile was arrogant. You'll find we have expectations, Sarah. We don't just let anyone into our lives without a proper introduction. Enough. Ben's voice thundered through the small space, silencing them all. The shift in his demeanor surprised Sarah. She had only seen him soft-spoken and vulnerable until now. I'm not a child, James. I can choose my own path. Sarah felt her throat tighten as she watched the brothers clash. So much was left unspoken, and she found herself caught in the middle, like a leaf caught in a tornado. She wanted to step back, to vanish from the room and this confusion, but she felt Ben's determination pin her in place. What you're doing isn't just dangerous, it's reckless, James continued, his tone ice-cold, laced with an unsettling edge. You don't know what you're getting into. The media, the pressure, the endless scrutiny, they're sharks waiting for blood. Then I'll fight them off, Ben said fiercely, taking a step toward James. You don't own me. Not anymore. What is that supposed to mean? James challenged, his smirk fading. Ben paused, the breath hitching in his throat. The words on the tip of his tongue felt like a confession, and the weight of that began to dawn on him. Sarah, too, felt the weight of a secret about to drown them all. Sarah sucked in a breath, the air tightening around her chest. She had to know. What is going on, Ben? Her question hung between them. It opened a door to a realm she now desperately wanted to enter, but it might also close him off entirely. Would revealing his truth change everything? Did she want to hear what he might say? Ben, Sarah urged, her voice smaller than she intended. He looked at her, vulnerability breaking through his walls. It's time to tell you the truth, but the moment was shattered as James interrupted, throwing out a chilling warning, whatever you're about to say could change everything. Are you sure you want to risk it? The tension in the room thickened. Every eye was fixed on Ben, who stood at the center of a storm, ready to make a choice that could shatter the fragile connection they had built. What truth would he reveal, and would it bring them closer together or tear them apart? Ben's gaze darted from James to Sarah, the air between them electric with anticipation. The unsteady look on his face told her everything. He was torn but determined. She sensed the weight of an unspoken past pressing down on him, threatening to suffocate the fragile bond they had formed. Just tell me, she whispered, her heart racing. James leaned against the wall, crossing his arms, an unsettling authority radiating off him. You should really think this through, Ben. Secrets don't just fade away, they breathe life into new monsters. Ben clenched his fists at his sides, his posture shifting back into that protective stance. You don't get to dictate my life anymore, James. The resolve in his voice was striking, a stark contrast to the uncertainty that had lingered moments before. Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Sarah felt like the ground was shifting beneath her. Did she really want to know what darkness lay in Ben's family history? Would understanding his struggles bring them closer or shatter what little intimacy they had built? Ben, she said gently, reaching toward him. He took a breath, the kind that felt like he was summoning every last scrap of courage within him. I didn't want you to know. But my family, we're not what you think we are. There's more to this life than pretty smiles and wealth. What do you mean? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, teetering on the edge of fear and curiosity. Growing up, it was all about appearances, he started, his voice trembling slightly. Success on the surface, but behind closed doors, it was chaos. My family has a reputation. Secrets that can tear us apart if anyone finds out. I ran from that, Sarah. It's why I wanted a clean slate away from my family. I didn't want to drag anyone into it. Before she could process it all, a range of emotions washed over Ben's face. Regret, fear, vulnerability, they all played across his features as he faced not just his brother, but the truth itself. Are you saying you're in danger? Sarah asked, her stomach dropping. She didn't know what to feel. Did she want to dive deeper? I don't know, he admitted, searching her eyes for understanding. There are forces at play that go beyond just us. I wanted to protect you from this, but I can't hide it anymore. You deserve to know the whole truth. James smirked, a predator watching its prey. You think being honest will save you, brother? You're only pushing her away further. No. Ben shot back, the fire igniting in his chest once more. This isn't about me anymore, it's about all of us. Sarah deserves a chance to decide if she wants to be part of this or not, he declared. Sarah felt torn, a part of her wanting to run back to safety, to where things were predictable. And yet, a deeper yearning for truth and connection held her grounded. I want to be here, Ben, she said softly, searching his eyes for a glimmer of hope. But I need to know what I'm stepping into. I can't fight battles I don't understand. Silence filled the room again, thick with unshakable tension. Ben's eyes softened, and he stepped closer, drawing her in. Then let us face it together, he said, his voice a quiet promise. Suddenly, James's laughter pierced the air, a hollow, mocking sound. Together? That's precious, but you have no idea what you're up against. A foreboding chill crept up Sarah's spine as she looked at Ben's brother, realization dawning. Maybe it's time we address the real monster, Ben said, an edge of defiance creeping into his tone. Sarah's heart raced. What monster lurked in the shadows of Ben's past? Would uncovering the truth bring them together or turn them into enemies? All she knew was that she was standing at the edge of a precipice, and the fall could either lead to an unexpected freedom or utter doom. The tension in the room shifted, a palpable charge hanging in the air like the calm before a storm. Sarah glanced between Ben and James, her heart pounding. Fear and curiosity intertwined, each threatening to pull her in opposite directions. Ben, Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. What do you mean by the real monster? James leaned in closer, eyes glinting with a mix of amusement and something darker. He's too good for his own good, you know. The trouble is, Ben has always been the family's golden boy, and everyone expects him to play the part. But underneath? It's all a facade. The anger flared in Ben's expression, but it was tempered by a strain of hurt that cut deeper. Stop it, James. You don't get to twist this. I'm not afraid of facing my past. I'm ready to unearth it, especially if it threatens Sarah. What if you dig too deep and end up bringing it down upon her? James shot back, a smirk still plastered on his face. You think they'll let you just walk away? You're not that naive, are you? Sarah's hands clenched into fists, her nails digging into her palms as uncertainty struck her like icy water. The truth weighed heavily on her. She had stumbled into this world of wealth and secrets, initially enchanted. But how deep did Ben's troubles run? And would she regret stepping in, even if she felt an unexplainable connection to him? Taking a breath, she turned her gaze back to Ben, heart racing, as she searched his dark eyes for clarity. Ben, what's at stake? He hesitated, the light shifting overhead casting shadows over his face. My brother's right about one thing. There are people connected to my family. Dangerous people. I thought I could outrun them, but now it feels like they're closing in. So, you've been running from something real? Sarah asked, her voice small. Yes, he said, stepping closer to her as if the mere proximity could shield them both from the weight of the world. I was hoping to give my life a fresh start. Being with you, he sighed, a shadowy smile curling on his lips. It felt like maybe I could rewrite my story. But I never wanted to pull you into this. James shrugged, a condescending grin still present. But you are. It's a little late for second thoughts, don't you think? You can't go back now. The room felt charged with the looming threat of danger. As much as she wanted to believe in Ben's brave words, self-doubt and fear threatened to consume her, wrapping around her lungs like a vice. Still, there was an undeniable pull toward him. "What do you need from me?" Sarah's whisper carried a determination she didn't fully understand. "Stand with me," Ben implored, desperation tinging his words. "Help me face this. We'll protect each other." Silence enveloped them, the gravity of his request pressing in. Did they have the strength to face whatever lay ahead together? Before she could finish, Ben took her hand, the warmth of his touch igniting something deep within her. "We'll figure it out. Together." The sincerity in his eyes stole her breath. Sarah knew they were walking into uncharted territory. The stakes were higher than she ever anticipated. But her heart was telling her something different, that she wasn't ready to walk away. "Okay," she finally said, her resolve firming. "Together." And just as an unexpected truce began to settle, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. A sense of dread washed over them, a chilling reminder that they were not alone. "Get ready," James murmured, his smirk replaced with a hardened gaze. "The real game is about to begin." As the door creaked open, Sarah's heart raced once more. Who would step through that threshold, and what would they bring with them? Would their fragile bond endure, or would the truth tear them apart? The door swung open slowly, revealing a tall figure silhouetted against the dim hallway light. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the man stepping inside, a man who seemed to carry a darkness as heavy as the one looming in the room. "David," Ben muttered, the bitterness sharp in his voice. "What are you doing here?" The newcomer's expression was a mix of surprise and feigned innocence, though his eyes betrayed a calculating intensity. "I heard you were back in town," he said casually, sliding into the room with an air of authority. "Thought I'd check on things." James shifted slightly, positioning himself to stand between Ben and David, a silent but protective stance. Sarah felt the tension in the room crackle even more. The air was thick with unspoken history, a looming presence that made her feel small and exposed. "David," Sarah spoke, her voice steady despite the wave of anxiety rushing over her. "What do you want?" He directed his gaze at her, and for a moment, she felt utterly scrutinized. "Isn't it obvious?" "I want to know what kind of trouble Ben has gotten himself into this time," he said with a smirk, his eyes darting between them. "He's always been good at finding it, after all." "Enough of this game," Ben snapped, stepping forward, his anger barely contained. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "But I do," David challenged, his tone chilling. "I know exactly what you've been running from. And now you've brought her into it. How sweet of you." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She could sense the hostility, the raw tension, and it was terrifying. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, searching for answers. "What have you done to him?" David laughed, a harsh, mirthless sound. "Oh, it's not just what I've done. It's what your beloved Ben has kept hidden. Secrets, lies, and debts that are coming due." His gaze hardened, as if he relished the power he held over them. "But then again, Ben has always been good at keeping secrets from the ones he loves." She looked at Ben, his expression softening, worry etched all over his face. Her resolve tested, she was torn between the man standing beside her and the monster this stranger portrayed. "What do you mean?" she pressed, desperate for clarity. "Everything has a price, Sarah," David replied, his voice low and menacing. "In this world, even love can come with a bill. And trust me, it's one you don't want to be responsible for." Ben clenched his jaw, his protective instincts flaring up. "Get out. Now. And if I don't?" David taunted, leaning in closer. "What are you going to do?" "You're already in too deep, Ben. Don't you get it?" In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of their situation crash down on her like a tidal wave. What had she stepped into? Could love really exist in a world tainted by secrets and lies? The thought churned in her stomach. Ben, she whispered, her voice trembling. We'll face this, right? But before he could respond, the room erupted in chaos. A noise broke the tension. The sound of shattering glass echoed from outside as a car skidded to a halt in the driveway. Sarah's heart raced, and fear clawed at her throat. "Time's up," David said, smirking as he backed away toward the door. "Sarah, stay close," Ben commanded, his voice firm, his eyes narrowed. As David slipped out, a primal instinct surged through Sarah. She couldn't let him get away, not without answers. She rounded on Ben, who looked equally panicked and resolute. "What do we do?" she asked, her pulse quickening as adrenaline coursed through her. "Stand your ground," he replied. "We're not done yet." But just as he spoke, another figure appeared behind them, someone with a familiar face and a malevolent grin. This was getting out of control. "Get ready, Sarah. This isn't over," Ben said, squeezing her hand. What had they stumbled into? As their fragile bond hung by a thread, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. Would they stand together in the face of danger, or would the shadows of their pasts tear them apart forever? The air in the room thickened with unresolved tension, the threat of confrontation looming overhead like a storm cloud. Sarah's heart raced, and she felt the heat of fear pooling in her stomach. The chaos outside surged as unfamiliar voices and footsteps invaded her thoughts. "Ben," she said, her voice hardly a whisper. "We can't let this happen. Trust me." "I'll protect you," he replied, determination etched across his features. His eyes flickered toward the door where David had just exited. But before they could strategize, the door flew open again, revealing another tall figure, this one with an expression of smug arrogance. It was Ethan, a local businessman with a reputation darker than David's. He stood there, arms crossed, surveying the room with a predatory gaze. "Ah, looks like I arrived just in time to witness a family reunion," he smirked, stepping into the room with a swagger that sickened Sarah. "What do you want?" Ben growled, stepping protectively in front of Sarah. Ethan dismissed Ben with a wave of his hand, focusing instead on Sarah, his voice dripping with charm. "I'm here for you, darling. Just thought you should know that your knight in shining armor is knee-deep in the kind of trouble you can't even imagine." Sarah's stomach dropped as she met Ben's eyes. His expression shifted from anger to something resembling regret. "Ethan, you need to leave now," he said, his voice firm yet urgent, but the businessman merely laughed, unchecked. "And miss seeing how deep this rabbit hole goes? This is just the beginning, sweetheart. You've got no idea what kind of web you've tangled yourself in. Enough of your games." Ben barked, stepping towards Ethan, but Sarah grabbed his arm instinctively, holding him back. "Let him speak," she said quietly, unsure of the outcome but sensing the air of desperation growing thick between the three of them. Ethan's smile widened, sensing a chink in their armor. "Smart girl. It's not just David you need to worry about. Those debts he mentioned? They're connected to people even worse than him. They don't just take cash, they take stop." Ben's voice cracked like a whip in the charged atmosphere. "I won't let you manipulate her." But the truth hung heavy in the air, a bitter reminder of choices made and paths taken. Sarah felt the weight of every word, the looming threats whispering promises of chaos. "What did you mean by take?" she pressed, feeling an involuntary shiver race down her spine. Ethan grinned, enjoying the moment. "Oh, there are many ways to pay a debt, darling," he purred, stepping closer, the menace in his voice creeping under her skin. "And trust me, they're not pretty." As if sensing the shift in the room, a distant crash echoed from outside, making Sarah jump. "What was that?" she murmured, panic settling in. "Does it really matter?" Ethan laughed, his gaze switching back to Ben. "You're losing control, my friend. It's only a matter of time before this entire thing blows up in your face and she'll be collateral damage." The sting of his words cut through the air, and Sarah's mind raced. She had come to this town seeking clarity, but now she was knee-deep in something she couldn't possibly comprehend. "Sarah!" Ben called, his voice urgent, snapping her back to the present. "We need to get out of here." But before Ben could guide her, the sound of pounding feet stomped down the hallway, an ominous chorus promising chaos. Too late for that, Ethan sneered, backing toward the door with a sense of victorious glee. The party's just getting started. The pressure mounted, and Sarah's heart pounded loudly in her chest. Ben's grip on her hand was fierce, yet she felt the ground shifting beneath them. The stakes had suddenly become higher than she ever imagined, and she needed to know, could they face this storm together, or were they destined to be torn apart by the ghosts of their past? As the door rattled ominously, she knew one thing: something would break. And it might not just be their trust. The door crashed open, and the air seemed to pulse with anxiety. Sarah's heart raced, caught between the threat of Ethan's menacing presence and the chaotic din outside. She could feel Ben's grip tighten around her fingers, an anchor to a storm they were all but lost in. What now? Ben's jaw clenched, his body taut with unspent energy. The urgency in his voice was a raw reminder of how close the danger felt. Ethan leaned against the doorframe, his confidence unyieldingly arrogant. "The cavalry is coming, my friends. This little gathering is about to get a lot more interesting." "Who are they?" Sarah's voice trembled as she tried to maintain her composure. "What do you want from us?" "Only the truth, darling," Ethan replied, inching closer. There was something unsettling in the way he addressed her, as if she were a puppet in a game he was orchestrating. "And maybe a little collateral for the debts that your dear Ben is tangled up in. But for now, let's just sit back and enjoy the show." Footsteps thundered down the hallway, and Sarah's instincts kicked in. "Ben, we have to." A loud bang echoed from outside, reverberating through the walls. Her heart skipped a beat. "What if they stop?" Ben hissed, tugging her toward the far corner of the room. "We can't let Ethan adjust the narrative. We need to be ready." He looked her in the eyes, a mix of desperation and determination swirling within them. Ethan watched, unperturbed. "You think hiding will save you? You're in deeper than you realize. The people David owes, they don't just forgive debts. They settle scores, and they're coming." Fear pierced through Sarah like a knife. She glanced at Ben, their shared panic tangible. "What do we do?" "Together, we stand. I won't let him hurt you. I promise," Ben murmured, his voice low but fierce, reverberating with the weight of unspoken resolve. "Ah, lovebirds. Let us not forget," Ethan interjected, his cruel smile broadening. "You can't outrun the past. It always catches up. Just remember, I'm on your side, for now." He smirked, enjoying the chaos he was creating. The pounding grew louder, and Sarah recognized the urgency that pressed against her chest. Who were these people? What had Ben done? Each question felt like a turn of a screw, tightening around her throat. "Stay close," Ben instructed, and they edged toward a window. Peering outside, she caught sight of shadows moving and heard shouts, some genuine screams piercing through the atmosphere. "They'll see us," Sarah whispered, her breath catching. "Not if we're careful," Ben replied, scanning the surroundings, his instincts sharp. "We need a way out, and fast." Ethan stepped forward, taking a bold risk with confidence. "You misunderstand, Sarah. They're not hunting you. They want Ben. So why not let him go face the music? You can just walk away." Sarah felt a mix of betrayal and panic surge within her. "You can't say that. You can't just throw him to the wolves." "Wolves? Maybe. But I have a feeling those wolves are aiming to take down something much bigger than the two of you. It's a beautiful chaos, isn't it?" Ethan leaned back, crossing his arms, visibly enjoying their turmoil. "Stop it!" Sarah cried out, her voice cutting through the tension. Stop playing games. We aren't pawns in your twisted chessboard. Ethan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Is that so? But this is all a part of your story now, isn't it? As a series of hollers echoed from 3 different doors down the hall, Sarah knew that time was almost up. She turned to Ben, whose eyes were serious and unwavering. Whatever happens, we stick together, right? Always, Ben whispered, holding her gaze. But just then, the door creaked open slightly. The sound of heavy boots marching closer sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Shadows grew in the doorway, and she swore she could feel the air change, thickening like molasses. Ready or not, Ethan's voice trailed off, an unsettling smirk plastered across his face as the looming presence approached. Who was coming for them? And would they face the storm together, or would this be the moment everything shattered for good? The air crackled with tension as footsteps thundered in the hallway. Sarah's heart raced, every muscle tense, ready for a fight or flight. Stay close, Ben whispered urgently, urgency etched across his face. They huddled together, nerves frayed, but there was a strength in their bond, something solid that made her believe they could face whatever darkness was about to enter. The door swung open, and in stepped a group of intimidating figures. They were sharply dressed, exuding confidence and menace, scanning the room like hunters surveying their prey. Sarah thought she might crumble, but she squeezed Ben's hand tightly, steadying herself. Ben, one of them said, a man with cold blue eyes and a cruel smile. Looks like you've stirred the pot, haven't you? Ben stepped forward, muscles taut, ready to defend. You don't scare me. What do you want? There was a fire in his eyes that called to her spirit, igniting something fierce within her own chest. We want what's ours, the man replied, his smile fading to something sharper, more dangerous. And it's time for you to pay your debts. Sarah could feel the ground trembling beneath her. Debts? What did that even mean? She glanced at Ben, fear and determination battling in her heart. We're not afraid, she spoke up, her voice steadier than she felt. We'll face whatever you're throwing at us. The man chuckled darkly. Ah, isn't she cute? He turned to his crew, who mirrored his cruel amusement. But this isn't a game, sweetheart. You don't even know what you're involved in. Neither do you, Ben countered, stepping closer to Sarah, guarding her with his very presence. The past is dead. I'm not playing your twisted games anymore. For a moment, the room fell silent, the tension humming like a live wire in the atmosphere. The men exchanged glances, clearly sizing up the defiance in Ben's stance. Sarah felt a surge of hope. Could this be the moment they took back control? Then let us see what you'll really do, the man said, leaning back, a calculating glint in his eyes. If you think you can just walk away from your family's debts without repercussions, you're sorely mistaken. What are you even talking about? Sarah demanded, stepping a little closer to Ben, holding onto his arm like a lifeline. This isn't just about debt, it's about love. It's about standing together through the storms. Love? The man sneered. Love doesn't pay the bills, sweetheart. People like you don't get to choose who they love. Trust me, you'll be thrown to the wolves soon enough. And when you are, don't expect anyone to come save you. With a swift move, Ben stepped forward, anger surging through him like liquid fire. You don't know a damn thing about love. It's not about money or family names. It's about the people you choose to fight for like her. At that moment, the fierce determination in Ben's voice brought warmth rushing back to Sarah's heart. Together, she murmured, stepping forward resolutely. We'll face whatever comes. We owe it to ourselves to fight for this. The lead man's expression flickered, surprise etching his features. You think you two can battle the storm together? A commoner and a millionaire? Not just any millionaire, Ben shot back. I've chosen my path. I will not be a pawn in this game. And Sarah isn't just anyone, she's my partner. The room pulsated with energy, and for a moment, it felt like the tension might shatter like fragile glass. "You're wasting your breath," the man replied, flicking his gaze at his crew. "But here's the deal: we clear this mess up and owe you nothing, or we drag you into your family's hell." "I'll fight anyone, anywhere for the life I want," Ben growled, eyes blazing. "For Sarah, for Mia. You can't take that from me." "Protecting her won't save you," the man shot back, waves of resentment crashing up against Ben's protectiveness. "Maybe so," Ben replied with unwavering confidence. "But standing by her, loving her, is worth any risk." With renewed fervor, Sarah felt her spirit ignite. "We're just getting started." The goon squad shifted uncomfortably, startled by their boldness. But then an unanticipated energy surged in the air, and an unknown backup entered the room. Officers, vigilant and armed, stepping into the chaos. "This ends now," one of the officers commanded, eyes wild with authority. "Put your hands up." In an instant, the tension erupted into confusion. The men cursed and scrambled, realizing they had been cornered, the tables turning before their eyes. "Run!" Ben shouted, but as she took a step back, Sarah realized she wasn't running away from them. She was standing tall, side by side with the man she cared for. Together, against the storms. The officers moved like a whirlwind, tackling the chaotic scene head-on. As the chaos unfolded, Ben grabbed Sarah's hand once more, intertwining their fingers, a firm commitment to face anything that lay ahead. "We're in this together," he smiled softly. "No more hiding. No more running." Sarah's heart swelled with hope. In the midst of chaos, she was filled with an unshakable resolve. This was her moment. They weren't just facing the storms, they were creating their own light. Together, she echoed, a radiant determination in her voice, ready to turn the tide of their story. As the dust settled, Sarah looked around, witnessing the fragments of their struggles coalesce into something powerful: transformation. From shadows to light, from fear to love, they were ready to rewrite their story. The real journey was just beginning, but she knew one thing: no matter the storm ahead, they would light the way together. And as if on cue, she caught Ben's eyes. His promise echoed in that moment. "Let us go home," he whispered, inviting her into a future where love, trust, and resilience would shine brighter than the darkest night. This was their love story. Now that you've experienced this incredible journey, it's time to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more fans just like you. Comment below with your feelings and reactions about this ending. You need to share your thoughts, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand how vital your support is. Let's keep telling beautiful stories together.